Well, welcome to the Holy Land and this biblical site of the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. We are just a little east of Capernaum, and we're going to do a walking tour from Capernaum towards Bethsaida. So we're going to walk along the beautiful seashore here. We're going to show you some sights. We're going to walk in the very footsteps of Jesus and his disciples and the multitudes who followed him. Well, it just causes me great pause to just be here and just to think about the reality that right along here, Jesus walked and his disciples. The terrain hasn't changed. The paths and the roads really haven't changed that much. We're just right up from the Sea of Galilee, so we're walking in the very footsteps of Jesus. So we invite you to join us in this special walking tour as we walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Now, Capernaum has two churches commemorating it. The first is the Franciscan site, which has been excavated and is where the synagogue and home of Peter are located. It's the most visited site. The other site is the Greek Orthodox Church, which has not been excavated much and is more natural. We'll be starting our tour just up from this church, as this is where the path begins. From this starting point, we'll first walk to the Capernaum National Park boat dock and explore it. Then we'll continue our journey exploring along the way until we get as close to Bethsaida as we can following this path. I'll occasionally talk throughout the video, but not all the time. I want you to feel as if you're in the Holy Land walking this route. So enjoy the sounds and sights just like you were here. So now we're approaching the Capernaum National Park boat dock. This dock is used to this day, and it's where a lot of the boats that give people rides out in the Sea of Galilee will come, drop off their passengers, then also pick them up. And we'll be seeing this a little bit later on. Now here is a stone marking the Gospel Trail. This trail begins in Nazareth, winds its way to the Sea of Galilee, then passes right by here. So it's a route today that Jesus took repeatedly with his disciples, and it's a route that people today can walk and take as well. So it's really quite a journey, but right here it passes right by Capernaum, this boat dock, and the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. So now we're going to walk down to the dock itself, and along the way, we'll see some special and interesting things. Along the way here, you can see some of these pictures. This right here is interesting. This is a anchor stone, so they would tie ropes to these and put them down in the water, and those would be anchor stones. It would also help to balance the boats as well, so they hang them on each side. That would balance the boats, but they were also used as anchors. And these stones have actually been found here in this area. So now as we're walking out onto this boat dock, you can see a couple boats here. Now these are boats that people ride in today when they take a ride out into the Sea of Galilee. When we do our tour trips, we always take our teams out on a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee, have a real special Bible teaching time, just a time to soak in, see everything, and just experience how it was when Jesus and his disciples were out on the water. So very, very special, this place. Once again, this is the Capernaum boat dock. So from here, boats will normally sail to Ginnosar. So there's a couple spots on the Sea of Galilee where people board the boats and then get off of the boats. So one site is here, and the other main site is at Gennesar or Gennesaret. So very, very special just to see this and be out on the water here a little bit. Shalom, shalom. Hi. So here you can see inside the boat a little bit. And again, when we do our tour trips, We always go out on the Sea of Galilee for a very, very special time, a time to just soak everything in and just think about what Jesus did around and on this Sea of Galilee. So these boats here are waiting for some passengers who will be boarding soon to sail to Gennesar. So here's the group coming now that are going to board the boats to sail to Gennesar. Again, it's just so special to do this boat sail. It is one of the highlights of all trips to Israel. You just have to do it. Now, a few interesting facts about the Sea of Galilee. It's located in the northern part of Israel, known as the Galilee region. Therefore, it's called the Sea of Galilee. It is also referred to in Scripture by other names such as Gennesar, Lake of Gennesar, Gennesaret, Sea of Chinneroth, Kinneret, and the Sea of Tiberias. It's about 70 miles or 115 kilometers north of Jerusalem and about 27 miles or 45 kilometers east of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, interestingly, it's a freshwater lake. It has the Jordan River entering in the north and the Jordan River exits in the south. It is about 8 miles or 13 kilometers wide and about 12 miles or 19 kilometers long and about 150 feet or 46 meters deep. It's also located about 700 feet or 213 meters below sea level. It's a key freshwater source of water for much of Israel. Because of its location, storms can arise quickly and drop down onto its surface without much warning. The Sea of Galilee was also located on the main crossroads of the known world during Christ's ministry on earth. This international highway was called the Via Maris, which means the way of the sea, and it linked travel between the three continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe. So Christ set up his ministry base in Capernaum, which was right on the Via Maris. And there is a Roman marker right by Capernaum that shows this. So the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee was even more traveled than the roads and routes leading through Jerusalem. So Christ set up his ministry base in Capernaum on purpose so that the news of what he did would travel to the known world, so that when the gospel was taken there, they would already have the seeds of the knowledge of Christ in their cultures. So this is the very area where Jesus would have walked. So just imagine he and his disciples walking along here. Now the path today is a lot narrower than it would have been during the time of Jesus. During the time of Jesus, everyone walked. That's how they got around. A few would ride donkeys, but the main way of traveling was walking. So these paths would have been much wider. Today, this is very little travel. There's just a few tourists that walk this, so it's much narrower. But again, in the time of Jesus, it would have been much, much wider, probably 4 or 5 times wider than what it is today. So I should mention that this path, or this road along the Sea of Galilee, was different than the Via Maris. The Via Maris was up the hill a bit. This was along the seashore. It was for the locals, for accessing the sea, fishing, traveling between Capernaum, Bethsaida, things like that.
Those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up.
I should mention that at the time of this filming, the last couple years, Israel has had a lot of rain, especially in the Galilee area. So the Sea of Galilee is really full at this time. If you'll notice, the trees in the water are quite large. This means it's been a long time since the water has been up to this level. Well, here you can see this pump station, and you can see these irrigation pumps. They're taking water from the Sea of Galilee, and then they disperse it to the various farms in the area. Again, as we mentioned before, this path today is much narrower than it would have been during the time of Jesus. So just imagine this being about 4 or 5 times wider than what it is right here. Well, here are some locals camping out by the Sea of Galilee. How precious that would be. Now, some interesting things about the Sea of Galilee in the Bible. Jesus calmed the sea here 2 times. Christ fed 5,000 and 4,000 on its eastern shores. Christ walked on water in the northern part of the sea. Christ preached the Sermon on the Mount here, which is the most famous and his longest sermon. Jesus cast a legion of demons out of a demon-possessed man into a herd of 2,000 pigs on its eastern shore. Christ did the majority of his miracles here in this region, and the miraculous catch of fish was performed here by Jesus. Christ preached the parables of the kingdom from its shore, and Jesus spent around 60 to 70% of his ministry time on earth around the Sea of Galilee. The cursing of the unrepentant cities of Chorazin, Bethsaida, and Capernaum were pronounced here by Jesus. The Great Commission was likely given on Mount Arbel, which is the tallest mountain around the Sea of Galilee and has the best view. Jesus appeared here to his disciples after his resurrection, and it was here Jesus restored Peter to ministry. Now, it's also interesting that in this area and in Israel, Jesus performed every class of miracle to show he was Lord of every aspect of creation. Here are the kinds of miracles Christ performed to prove that he was God in the flesh. He healed all kinds of sicknesses. He had power over the demons and the demonic world. He had power over the weather and calmed the sea. He had power over nature and cursed a fig tree and it died. He had power over animals. He cast demons into a herd of swine. He performed miraculous catches of fish, and he rode into Jerusalem on an untamed donkey. He had power over food. He fed 5,000 and 4,000 people. He had power over death. He raised a number of people from the dead and rose from the dead himself. And Jesus had power to forgive sins. Well, we are now arriving at Amnun Beach. This is a really pretty park, well kept, just a real nice place with many places to just walk and just really see this beautiful northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. Again, Jesus was here, and he would have been out on a boat like this during his ministry time with his disciples. This blue building up ahead used to be one of the most popular and busiest restaurants around the Sea of Galilee. It was called St. Peter's Fish and served fish right out of the Sea of Galilee. Tour groups would stop here to eat regularly. I remember eating here on one of our first tour trips to Israel. It was absolutely delicious. Unfortunately, it was a casualty of COVID-19 and is now closed. The Gospels also mention that multitudes of people followed Jesus around this area. These crowds could have easily reached 15 to 20 to 25,000 in size. It says in Matthew 4:23 through 25, "And he went throughout all Galilee," talking about Jesus, "teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction among the people. So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains, those oppressed by demons, those having seizures and paralytics, and he healed them. And great crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis, and from Jerusalem and Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. So in this area, it was like a hub where all these people would come, and they were just masses of people that followed Jesus to be healed and to be taught by him. Now, what are some faith lessons we can learn from the Sea of Galilee and this area? Well, Christ chose to locate his ministry base in Capernaum, which was on the Via Maris, so he would have maximum impact on a worldwide scale. Do we position ourselves to have maximum impact regarding the ministries we are involved in? Number 2, Jesus performed every class of miracle to show he was Lord of every aspect of creation. Do we believe Jesus was fully God and fully man at the same time? Number 3, Christ cursed the 3 towns of Capernaum, Chorazin, and Bethsaida because they had heard so much teaching and witnessed so many miracles, but grew apathetic and hard-hearted. Are we becoming apathetic towards Christ and his word in our own personal lives? And number 4, Christ gave the Great Commission overlooking the Sea of Galilee. Are we seriously fulfilling the Great Commission, or have we become lazy and apathetic to this key command? Well, man, that was a precious, precious walk. Wow, right in the footsteps of Jesus from Capernaum to Bethsaida, just right up ahead of us. Man, just causes me just a real special emotion just to think about the reality. We're walking in the very footsteps of Jesus. Thank you for joining us. Hope this has been special for you. Thanks for watching, and may God richly bless you.